All right, now I've been holding off on doing this video because of the names involved, but I have just got to because I'm sick and tired of the mainstream media and the Democrat politicians, those lying left-wing extremist radicals, fear-mongering people, and have good people all up in arms thinking somehow that President Trump was involved with this creep. So in this video, I'm going to lay out some facts for you to mull over and to share with anybody the next time they try to bring up President Trump and that creep, Jeffrey Epstein, inside of their videos. And I call him Jeffrey Epstein. I got this from a lady that's on YouTube named Tisa Tales. And I like that name because, you know, if you say that name on YouTube, they can zing you for it. So I'm not going to use the name, but y'all know who I'm talking about. Rhymes with Bepkind, but his name is Jeffrey Ep, you know what. But this is who we talking about, that the demon rats, Democrat politicians, left-wing extremists, and the lamestream media would love people to believe that somehow the fact that the FBI, Pam Bondi, and the DOJ have just said that there was no client list and that this man actually took his own life inside the cell. So they like to say, oh, that's because Trump is hiding something. He's on the list. I want y'all to bear with me this one fact in reality. Jeff Epstein was arrested and locked up years ago, okay? Since that time, the Biden administration was in office and they had a Democrat-controlled House, a Democrat-controlled Senate, Democrat-controlled White House, all at the same time. While they had Jeffrey Epstein's, those tapes, they had everything, all the same evidence that they prosecuted Ghislaine Maxwell with, all the same evidence that they prosecuted Jeffrey Epstein with. They've had it the entire time. And you tell me that you don't believe if there was one single shred of evidence on there that linked President Trump with this creep, that they would not have ran it on every major outlet around the world 24/7, 365 on loop. They would have blasted it everywhere, especially when you know that they had it in their possession. Heck, if they could have doctored something together, they would have. Because it's real funny that with all of this AI technology, all of a sudden, this recording of Jeff Epstein comes out talking about how close he was with President Trump. Ain't it also funny how not one demon rat politicians, and demon rat are the Democrats, not one demon rat politician or no member of the lamestream media is bringing up that tape? Nobody's saying, oh, there's a tape on the internet where Jeffrey Epstein is saying that he's best friends with Donald Trump. That's because they know it's fake. So what they do, they come out and play with the speculation. And Elon Musk, he knows it too. But he was so pissed off doing his little temper tantrum that he came to the internet saying, oh, Trump's on the list. We all know that President Trump knew the man. How many other people know him? Bill Clinton is literally on a life-size portrait in his home wearing a blue dress with red heels. The former president, Bill Clinton, is in a dress on a picture, an oil painting that was hanging up inside of Jeffrey Epstein's home that Clinton saw every time he visited, because he visited a bunch of times, but he wasn't the only Democrat politician that went. So they loved, it's the deception game and deflection. They keep everybody focused on Trump without reminding people that the FBI, the DOJ under the Biden administration had all of this information. And it's funny, they didn't find anything on President Trump. They made up something. Remember, they created the Russian collusion. So why would they spend $1 million getting the Steele dossier created to do a fake hoax if they had real evidence at their disposal? But people don't stop and think. They just hear it, and emotionally, it gets Trump supporters saying, no, not our guy. He must be on it. No, he's not. But they know he's not on it. Now, what they also know is that there are high level. This is bigger than just, now don't get it twisted. The part of taking young women and brutalizing them and assaulting them, that's terrible. That is worthy of somebody's life being taken. But that's not all that was linked to him. There's alleged associations where he may have been linked to the Israeli defense, the IDL. There's also allegations that may have been linked to the CIA. When you're somebody playing at a high power level like him, you're not just rubbing shoulders with John that works at the grocery store and Mary that works at the post office. Man, you're up there in the hundreds of millions of billions of dollars. You're playing in those financial markets and you're dipping in that nefarious world of underage people and these powerful folks. There's a lot of powerful people that are involved in this evil, dark side of things that we just aren't aware of. So he's rubbing shoulders with all types of powerful people. And in those networks, people say, oh, you hang out with this person? Well, hey, if you can do this for us, we'll turn the blind eye for that. We now know that the history of even the mob was working with agencies back in the day. They went to Lucky Luciano to help them clear off the pier in New York during World War II. So, and then we know with the Bay of Pigs, the government again was working with the mob when it came to trying to do things with Cuba with the leader Fidel Castro at that time. So it's not something that's new, but that is what is alleged to really be why these things all of a sudden disappear, because some of the folks involved in that is just bigger than what we think. It's not about exposing. Some of these people are so powerful and so connected in things globally. The wrong person being exposed could throw a ripple around the world, and who knows how many countless American operatives could die, or people could die, period, all behind a creep that's not even alive anymore. So I'm gonna get back to this article, but I want you to hear President Trump as he addresses a reporter who tries to bring it up during a press conference, and he lets him have it. And then Pam Bondi explains why she made the statements that she made, because a lot of this is Pam Bondi's own fault. She came out on Fox News and talked real big and real strong about some of the things that she had. But in this video, she clears up. And when I went back and you look at the clip, she's right. She did say there was things on her desk for review, but I'll let you hear from her, then I'll come back and get into that article. If you're enjoying this video, do me a solid, hit the thumbs up, because I'll never ask you for anything like a Cash App or a super chat, but you hitting that like button, it really does help get the information out there. And if you aren't subscribed to the channel, subscribe. And even if you are subscribed, make sure that you hit the notification bell and that you select all, because YouTube is having an issue with the notifications. So make sure that you select all. That way you'll be notified when I upload new videos.
Jeffrey Epstein, it left some lingering mysteries. One of the biggest ones is whether he ever worked for a American or foreign intelligence agency. The former Labor Secretary, who was Miami U.S. Attorney Alex Costa, he allegedly said that he did work for an intelligence agency. So could you resolve whether or not he did? And also, could you say why there was a minute missing from the jailhouse tape on the minute?
Yeah, sure. If
Could I just interrupt for 1 second? Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years. You're asking, we have Texas, we have this, we have all of the things. And are people still talking about this guy, this creep? That is unbelievable. Do you want to waste the time, and do you feel like answering?
I don't mind answering.
I mean, I can't believe you're asking a question on Epstein at a time like this, where we're having some of the greatest success and also tragedy with what happened in Texas. It just seems like a desecration, but you go ahead.
Sure. First, to back up on that, in February, I did an interview on Fox, and it's been getting a lot of attention because I said, I was asked a question about the client list, and my response was, it's sitting on my desk to be reviewed, meaning the file along with the JFK, MLK files as well. That's what I meant by that. Also, to the tens of thousands of video, they turned out to be child downloaded by that disgusting Jeffrey Epstein. Child is what they were. Never going to be released, never going to see the light of day. To him being an agent, I have no knowledge about that. We can get back to you on that. And the minute missing from the video, we released the video showing definitively the video was not conclusive, but the evidence prior to it was showing he committed. And what was on that, there was a minute that was off the counter. And what we learned from Bureau of Prisons was every night, they redo that video. It's old, from like 1999. So every night the video is reset, and every night should have the same minute missing. So we're looking for that video to release that as well, showing that a minute is missing every night. And that's it on Epstein.
So, yeah, as you heard her say, she made that statement, but it was more of a, hey, I just said I hadn't reviewed it, didn't know what I had. And the people all assume, I mean, think about it. You really think this man was just writing down the names and telephone numbers of some of the most powerful people in the world in one centralized book and labeled it client list? And anybody that does think that way either has never been associated with any street or any underworld affiliations or associations, and that's a great thing if you haven't. I grew up in Detroit, Michigan, so I did know people who sold drugs and that associated in different stuff as I was coming up. And no, they didn't keep like a list with every name and who bought what all written down where it said client list on it. Why? Because if you get in trouble, you get caught. That's evidence clear as day right there. So I'm not saying that there wasn't one. I'm just saying that the left are looking so hard at some way to make President Trump look so bad that they failed to realize, hey, geniuses, your side had this same information for years when Merrick Garland was the attorney general and Christopher Wray was the head of the FBI. And we know that they're not Trump supporters. We know that they got TDS out the yin yang. Matter of fact, they helped put together 4 whack and fraudulent cases against the man. And they had some concrete gold showing that he was affiliated and associated and in cahoots with Jeffrey Epstein, and they wouldn't have released it. Get out of here. So this article, though, kind of backs up what I was saying about Pam Bondi. Says Trump rushes to defend Patel Bongino while calls for Bondi's ousting over Epstein fiasco escalate. Calls to fire Attorney General Pam Bondi, FBI Director Kash Patel, and FBI Director Dan Bongino are surging amid the Trump administration's latest Epstein flood. This week, the Justice Department publicly concluded that deceased PDF file Jeffrey Epstein never had a client list, sparking massive outrage from President Trump's base. The outrage has been mostly directed at the Department of Justice's top 3 officials, especially Bondi, who was also responsible for the botched public release of the Epstein's case information earlier this year. Pam Bondi is a ball and chain for this administration, right-wing podcaster Sean Farash tweeted Monday. It's time to cut ties. Bondi must go. Conservative commentator Liz Wheeler, one of the influencers who was duped during the botched public release, has also called for the attorney general's ouster. But see, Republicans, MAGA, we got to not do that. That's what Democrats do. At the first sign of trouble, they flip on the people that they supposed to believe in and support, and then call for them to be kicked out without hearing anything, without knowing what's really going on. We have to avoid that, or we'd be no better than the Democrats. And then 9 times out of 10, the people that are always so quick to call for this one out and that one, dig into their personal life. And let's look at how many times they've screwed somebody over, did something wrong, and they have been forgiven. So we got to avoid that. Now, if they do something that justifies and warrants them being released, okay. But I don't believe letting Pam Bondi go, somebody who we know is extremely qualified, we know is loyal to the president. Why? Over a dead, shamed PDF file? Over some list? And what is it going to do for their life? How will it impact those people's lives if they did know? What are they going to go do? What are they going to go do? Are they going to start prosecutions? Are they going to go home and tell their family, we know, and life is going to change? When you really stop and you say, okay, if I did know, how does that improve my life or improve the country? Now, by us knowing, it could make us beware of certain people, but a lot of the names already have been released. Think about it. A lot of them, most of them have been. And I believe the ones that aren't, it's not something to do with any Trump or politician. I think it's bigger than that. I think these people are next level, maybe princes, kings, queens, the type of names where if released, it could literally rock and tilt a nation off balance. Because remember, the Democrats had control of this. And even in President Trump's first term, when dude was arrested, prosecuted, that wasn't a favorable Trump administration. He had more rhinos and backstabbers in there than a little bit. And everything, I mean, they had more leaks than the Hoover Dam. So you think that that wouldn't have been brought out, that they were hiding something? And remember, James Comey was his FBI director who during his first term, who we know was a big fan and friend of the Clintons. You think he wouldn't have leaked it to Hillary, Bill, or Obama? Those same people who all worked in cahoots to create Russiagate? We got to think. President Trump is not in that in any nefarious way. And it's already been known that he met him, flew with him once, and said that he was the creepiest guy that he ever met, never met with him again. You know who is in there, though? Bill Gates. Out of Bill Gates' wife's own mouth. She divorced him because of the blackmail that Epstein was using against Bill Gates, because Bill Gates had been interacting with a 16-year-old, like, Austrian girl or something, allegedly, even though it's not alleged. It's already public record. Bill Gates' wife said that's why she divorced him. Bill Gates said it was a mistake befriending that man and kicking it with the young girl. Look it up. So while everybody wants to look and point to Trump, it has nothing to do with Trump. If it was Trump, they would have been leaked it. That's why he's cooler than a cucumber. And Elon Musk knows that. That was his way of trying to get that big, beautiful bill not to get passed. So his EV mandates and his rocket ships. The FBI, under the direction of Director Kash Patel and Deputy Director Dan Bongino, is back to the basics, locking up criminals and cleaning up America's streets. He wrote, "We have the greatest law enforcement professionals in the world, but politics and corrupt leadership often prevent them from doing their job. That is no longer the case. And now they have been unleashed to do their jobs. And they are doing just that. Keep it up. Make America safe again," he added. Bongino later retweeted a screenshot of Trump's post. Director Don Bongino is back to the basics. That's right. In response, a stunning number of critics called for his and Patel's firing on the basis that the two were complicit in the administration's epilator flub. "Sorry, we no longer believe you, so it's time to move on along," one critic tweeted. "You had your chance to make things right with we the people. You didn't, you lied, you're a traitor and should be fired, if not locked up." Dan and Pam and Kash are complicit in covering up the epilator files, another critic wrote. All three should be fired. All of them talked about this particular situation on their podcast, and now they're doing exactly what the Democrats do. You know who I think wrote that? I think a Democrat wrote that. I really don't see any conservatives going that hard about an epilator situation. I just don't. I could be wrong. I mean, tell me in the comments, does it matter that much to you? Now, he was found guilty. He was locked up. His life is gone. His associate is in prison for 30 years. People whose names have been released have been publicly shamed. But we still got to remember the victims still want to move on. They don't want to live this every day. They don't want to keep hearing about this every day. But you got bloodthirsty drama kings and queens out there that just want their blood in drama. They want it. They need it. They don't even think about the victims. They didn't even know Jeffrey Epstein, these people calling for this. And again, it goes back to, what are you going to do when you know? What are you going to do? You're going to get a vigilante crew and go out there and hunt these people down? These are just people that want to be pissed off about something. And a lot of times these publications love to act like it's MAGA or Republicans turning on Trump when they have no earthly idea what the political affiliations are of the people leaving these comments. We don't have any way of knowing, but they just assume these are Trump supporters' base. One thing I've learned about the base is we might talk with each other about things that we're upset about, but we know better than to ever publicly air out our grievances with anybody that's not on, that does not support President Trump, because they take it and they run with it. Like, have you ever had a Democrat friend or a family member that's like begging you to just say something negative about Trump? They're like, "Oh, you just believe everything he says. He's your God. It's a cult. Oh, you just say something negative. Say something that he did." And it's like they just foaming like they want you to, right? And you would think saying, okay, well, let me find something I could point out about him. And then maybe they would be willing. So you say, okay, well, this about Trump. Now tell me really how you felt about Biden and Kamala. They were great. See, you don't even believe. And you're like, wow, dude, I did that thinking that, okay, I'll have a moment of civility and say something, and that person would too. Nope. They just wanted you to do it so they can have something to run with, because they're never going to bend the knee and give up the truth as far as on what we all publicly saw. You got people still saying Joe Biden was perfectly fine, could have ran another 4 years, would have voted for him again, and feel he's better than Trump, when we all know that to be false. But their ego will force them to stand on that. And so now you want to call for Bongino and Kash Patel and Pam Bondi? It's stupid. All this strongly suggests the Trump administration's epilator flub could be a major liability. The flubs continued Sunday when footage of Epilator's prison wing from the night he was found unalive was publicly released. There's just one problem. At least a minute of content was completely missing from the footage. And we heard her explain that. So I did this video just in case you're somebody who looked at that and was like, oh my God, could Trump be in it? Or might have heard what Elon said and believed it. Remember, the Democrats who had control of the White House, the Senate, the House, the FBI, the Attorney General, the DOJ, they had all of that. And they spent their time on Russia, a fake hoax. If they had real evidence of Trump with Epilator, we know it'd still be running right now, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 globally. We know it. I mean, think about it. They still using just the audio of him talking about grabbing women by the you-know-what from 2005. They're still running with that. And that was an off-the-cuff personal conversation on a freaking bus 20 years ago. Imagine if he was tied into something with underage people with Epilator. Oh my God. So have no fear. There's nothing dark on there that would hurt President Trump, and they know it. But it's just the unknowing that the Democrats and the lamestream media use to just kind of create that cloud of doubt. And that's all it is. But like every other hoax they tried, it's not going to work. So I just wanted to bring you that information. And if you hung out with me up to this point, tell me, how do you feel about it? Did you believe it? Do you believe it? Do you think Trump has something to do with it? Or do you know and realize that the Democrats had that? And if there was some there, it would have already been out in the air. But I still would like to get your feedback. And if you haven't already, like the video. And if you aren't subscribed to the channel, subscribe. Most importantly, I want you to stay safe and you be great. I'm Brian Maxwell saying I look forward to seeing you at the top. Over and out, y'all.